So we ask, what's the further impact of a continued Israel-Iran conflict? And we bring in Francis Rico Domingo, Associate Professor at the UP Diliman's Political Science Department, and his expertise is international relations. Magandang hapon, Prof. Lourdes de Vera po at si Denise Tan.
Magandang hapon, Prof.
Yeah, magandang hapon. Magandang hapon, Lord and Denise. No? Yes, I've been following your program, the coverage since yesterday. So thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. Okay, Professor Domingo, what could be Trump's strategy behind announcing a ceasefire na hindi naman pala confirmed ng kabilang side?
Marami po siyang, usually may track record na po yung President ng United States magsabi ng mga bagay na hindi naman necessarily nangyayari. So, I think posturing niya, yun ang gusto niya mangyari pero hindi pa naman confirmed on the ground. So, but what we've established so far is that if you manage to see the Iranian response, yung sinasabing retaliation, medyo constrained po kung yun yung retaliation nila against Qatar, US-based Qatar. Constrained po yung response. So siguro si President Trump, may alam siyang, obviously marami siyang intel na alam about Iran's capabilities. Malakas yung pananalita niya about ceasefire because it's either he knows that Iran's not as capable, or they have enough intel mechanisms to know what Iran probably will be doing next. So in short, marami siyang alam na bagay na not in public that he would be able to sort of boost in terms of ceasefire.
Constrained meaning naniniwala po kayo na crippled na at this point ang retaliatory capabilities ng Iran? Professor?
Well, kung tingnan niyo po yung videos, at least we can only see what's published by mainstream media. Ilan pong missiles yung ginamit nila against US territories compared to, for example, Iran. Sabi Israel. Tapos yung oras, yung length of time that they've been using ballistic missiles. Of course, we don't know if they're gonna do it again tomorrow, right? Or this evening. So if that's the first salvo, that's probably very likely not going to be the last. No? Pero kung ganun po yung takbo ng retaliation, that's very far from what they've been doing to Israel and what the US has done to them.
Follow-up question ko lang, Prof. Sa tingin nyo, bakit hindi nag-come to Iran's aid yung mga proxy allies niya in the region? Sila ba similarly defanged na rin?
Right. Great question. Yun ang tinatanong usually ng students ko rin. Hindi, mahirap pong mag-claim. So yung proxies po kasi may relationship sila in terms of, interest eh. So hindi natin alam kung, for instance, they're proxies because they're being supported by Iran, but they have their own agenda. So one path could be they're waiting for a better time, appropriate time, because the world is focused on them. And for example, hitting Israel or hitting the US now would just draw attention and then ultimately, reap more destruction from their end. And these are non-state actors mostly. So hindi naman po yan kasing well-resourced sila but not comparable to states yet. So timing, strategic opportunities yan eh. Hindi naman natin sasabihin na hindi sila aatake na, Pero in terms of the timing, I don't think do they want to engage with the United States as well? Is the question.
Okay. Prof, matanong ko lang kasi madami ang yung may mentality pa rin na wala naman yan sa Pilipinas, hindi naman tayo kasali dyan. But ano po ba yung talagang ultimately ano yung impact nito sa Pilipinas as a developing country also?
Yeah, so direct impact po niya, hindi po totoo walang impact. Number one, meron po tayo OFWs in Israel and Iran. We also have embassies. We have diplomatic relations with these countries, right? So matagal na po yung diplomatic relations natin with these countries. So may direct impact po yun dun sa relationship. In terms of, siguro yung pinag-uusapan nyo yung wala naman nangyayari, we're not feeling it now, we're more concerned with domestic, for example, which is the case, gasoline prices, etc. So this is just a start. No, I'm sorry to say, we're just starting with the situation in the Middle East. No, so hopefully it doesn't expand or even motivate other. We already have an existing war. This is the second war. Hopefully hindi po mag-expand yung ganyan na. Hopefully wala na pong ibang gera. No, interstate, no, state-to-state war, no. Pero hindi, nagsisimula pa lang yan. We don't know what could happen in the next couple of weeks or months.
Prof. Francis, ano kaya ang possible ramifications / consequences ng regime change? Kasi may mga nagsasabi na it's deeply unpopular kasi naging mas repressive pa daw itong mga clerics, no? Pero pag civilian regime change naman, civilian-led regime change, sino na naman daw kaya ang posibleng iupo nila?
So, pag sinabi niyo pong civilian regime change, sila po yung magpapalit sa sarili nilang. So, if the Iranians would change their own regime, no, malabo po mangyari yon. So, kahit pilitin po sila ng ibang bansa, malabo rin mangyari yon. It's been done. Sinubukan na po yan dati noong 1970s, no? May Western intervention, covert intervention, no? Gumagawa po ng insurrection para po mapalitan yung regime or manatili yung regime na gusto nila. I'm sorry. So, either way, kung sa kanila manggaling, malakas po yung current authoritarian regime. Hindi po basta-basta mapapalitan yan kung sila mismo ang susubok magpalit, kung sino yung Iranian people, let's say. Kung external po yun, like papakialaman na naman sila ng West, that would be very, very dangerous, I think. No, they could try. They will always try. No, they've tried in Iraq and of course in other jurisdictions. Afghanistan, I think, is more also popular.
Diba? Mossadegh Part 2.
No? Mabigat yung labanan doon kasi yung mga tao ay, I mean, kung titingnan nyo ako kung wala naman masyadong opinion poll sa Iran kasi authoritarian.
Bakit kaya?
Titingnan natin, no, yung national will ba nila nung bansa? Kanino ba ano bang direction nun? No? They're not exactly clamoring for democracy, right? So, again, no, not claiming any expertise on Iranian politics or domestic politics, no. Pero malinaw naman kung tingnan natin yung history ng Iran, no, meron ng intervention from the West outside. So they're, I would say, allergic or they're very aware of what external forces could do.
Prof. Domingo, ito pa nga, ang isang araw na nabubulong-bulong na isang option daw, ay yung anak ng Shah na nasa Canada yata ngayon. Na medyo masakit yun pag binalik mo at talagang dalawang middle finger yun to the Iranians, kung tutuusin mo, no?
Well, mabigat po yung gano'n, no? Kasi sinubukan rin nila yan sa Iraq, no? They tried someone, I think from overseas, no? Na naka-exile overseas, no? I think, again, no? I wouldn't even claim to know anything about the pulse of the Iranian people. No, yung kultura nila, yung history of resistance, no, kung ano ba talaga ang gusto nila. No, so changing, for example, regime change, ano ba ang path niyan? So from authoritarian to what? Right? So usually sasabihin mo democracy, 'di ba? Yun ba yung gusto nila or yun ba ang direction ng mga katulong? No, I wouldn't claim to know the answer, but if that's the case, we want peace, right? But regime change is something very dangerous, I think, if you want to push that immediately, no? Maganda sana manggaling yun sa kanila gradual.
Pero maraming nagsasabi na lalo lang yung mga female activists, yung mga female na progressive mag-isip na yung repression pagdating daw sa yung mga pinagsusuot ng hijab, etc. Ganon. Pero okay, Prof, bakit kaya hindi pa rin nila sinasarado yung kaya ba nilang sakalin yung Strait of Hormuz and mag-cause ng sakit ng ulo sa rest of the world?
Pwede silang gumawa ng gulo. They could definitely maybe sabotage, no? But I'm not aware of, been following this since it started. I'm not aware of, ang hirap po malaman yung capabilities ng Iran ngayon, no? Even think tanks would have their projection, pero alam kasi pag ginawa nila yon, alam nila kung ano ang kaya na ng United States and in Israel. So kaya naman ginawa ni President Trump yan, yung Operation Midnight Hammer, to demonstrate what they can do and then what they can keep on doing. Coercion yan eh, aside from war, pwede namang hindi gera, coercion, no? Tatakutin ka, intimidate ka with their overwhelming capability. So, yeah, they can try doing that, no, in Strait of Hormuz, etc. But alam naman nila pwede ang gagawin, ang response ng US and probably Israel.
Binali mo yung kamay para makipag-peace.
Ay, nako.
Kamayan mo na, dali.
Pero medyo mahirap nga isarado yun dahil majority ng lumalabas doon
Gagalit sa kanila China.
Exactly, majority is China,
Yes.
di ba, Prof?
Yes, maraming delicate yan kasi yung nangyari ngayon parang literally unilateral, nag-iisa lang silang gumawa nito, no? So wala silang, I'm not sure, I'm not aware of any congressional support, yung ginawa nila Operation Midnight Hammer, wala ring UN support. So paano po, my question is paano kaya yun? Yung mga iba pong ginawa nila sa Afghanistan, Iraq, merong both or either one support, no? So hindi ko alam kung ano ang play nitong ni President Trump, anong gusto niya makuha out of it. Sabi niya peace daw, pero I'm not very optimistic.
Peace through strength. Sabay tariffs.
To strength. So ang labas nito ay papalag lang lalo yan.
Ano lang, nag-flex lang. Nako, Prof, salamat sa oras niyo, pero kung ako lang, dapat lang gusto ko kay Prof. Like, totoo ba na may mga SAVAK agents daw na pinasok si Marcos yung after the Iranian Revolution sa Pilipinas? Opo. Pero that should be a topic for some other time. Maraming salamat.
Thank you very much.
Professor Francis Rico Domingo from the UP Diliman Political Science Department. Thank you, sir.